Hi everyone, today we are going to be reviewing models and how we interpret our model parameters. And so we've been covering this information all semester, but I just wanted to basically give you a nice summary and recap of that information today. So let's start off by getting our basic model where we're predicting, let's say, probability of crime as a function of these two other variables, x and z. And to give you more context, let's say that we're predicting the probability of crime as a function of gender and GPA. And y is our probability of crime. And so the first thing we might be interested in is how do we interpret this beta naught or this intercept? And what we really need to recall when we do that is that this represents our average score, our average probability of crime, but when and only when x and z are both at 0. And so if we want to make sure, if we want to have a meaningful interpretation of the probability of crime, the average probability, then we need to make sure that these values themselves are also meaningful when they're at 0. And so we should start by recalling that gender is a categorical predictor, meaning men and women, two different categories. GPA is continuous, so it ranges from 1 to 4. And there's different ways of handling getting these variables to be meaningful at 0. So for categorical predictors, typically what we will do is assign values such as -1 and 1, or -1/2 and 1/2. So we could say these are females, these are males. And what's nice about these contrast-coded predictors is that they're kind of centered around 0 already. And so basically we could interpret this intercept as the average probability of crime across all people, or on average across men and women. For z, which is GPA, a continuous predictor, what we need to do is create a new variable where we recenter that around a value of interest. So typically we'll say z minus the average GPA. GPA minus the average GPA. And what this does is it makes z a meaningful value at 0. So now we can say that we know the average probability of crime when GPA is set at its average. And so in the context of both using contrast-coded predictors for categorical variables and recentering continuous predictors, what we see is that we can now interpret beta naught, our intercept, as the average probability of crime just on average across all people and when GPA is set at its average.